the 2021 Cadillac Escalade or the 2021 Yukon Denali. Made technically by the same company, just a different name. But today I'm going to find the question that you guys have asked, the difference between the Yukon Denali and the Escalade, and which one would I pick? And the answer is very simple. My take is I would rather get this than the Escalade, and I'll tell you why. Does it actually mean, though, that the Escalade is a terrible choice? Absolutely not. But what I do think is that what the Escalade offers for that price increase doesn't really make a difference in your life if you had to pick between these two. Technically, these two have a lot of things in common. So if you want to get a smaller Escalade, you could, or you can get the SV, which is the one we have for today's video. The same thing for the Yukon Denali. If you want to get the longer version, the XL, which is the one that we have for today's video, you could, or a smaller version. They both offer a lot of common things. So for example, this offers the same engine as you'd get in here, a 6.2 liter V8 that makes 420 brake horsepower. So you'll find exact same options in both. Similar for the diesel option as well, if you want to get a diesel. At the same time, they both offer almost the same length, almost the same space, the same amount of seats on both vehicles, the same entertainment unit and so on, and the same suspension system. They both have air ride, so if you want to lower the vehicle or raise it, you have that option. So technically these two underneath are almost the same, but there are a lot of things that separates them from inside. And of course the outside. The first thing that you notice is, of course, the difference in design. One is more bulky in the front, the other one looks more like Darth Vader style. The Yukon Denali has a more luxurious perspective in the front. Meanwhile, the Escalade, in my opinion, it looks more futuristic and a lot of flat style lines in the front. The grille is much bigger in the Escalade compared to the Yukon Denali, but then you have more a chrome finish on the Yukon Denali compared to this. The reason why I pick the Yukon Denali is very simple. Let's start first with the pricing. So let's say you decide to get the base model for the Escalade. That starts in Canada at about $90,000. Yes, the base model starts at about $90,000. Meanwhile, Yukon Denali at $70,000. That's $20,000 in difference. That's huge if you think about it. Even with the higher trim, the Escalade will cost you more. And at some points, they both get almost the exact same features. They both offer rear split tailgate, so you can open this or that. They both offer hands-free tailgate. You have to do slide your foot under and it will open the actual tailgate as long as you have the key inside. So the only difference in the back is mostly how they're designed. So for example, this has this massive line all the way through, LED. Both vehicles offer LED. The exhaust system in the back changes a little bit here because now you don't have those twin exhaust pipes like you do in the Yukon Denali. Now you have a standard one, more aggressive looking, just more luxurious looking, more refined, but that's the difference pretty much. Everything else remains the same. Even the towing capacity for both vehicles remains very much the same. Some of the differences on the outside between the Escalade and of course the Yukon Denali. First of all, this thing has a light on the actual door handle and it doesn't have any buttons to close the door. You have just a touch option. At the same time, when you open it and you don't have to slam the door hard, you basically have soft closing in here, something that you're missing in the Yukon Denali. So little things here and there. They're not the most needed things out there, but the difference is noticeable. They both have running boards and the running boards at the bottom have lights, welcome lights to make sure you know where you're stepping in. Very similar in both vehicles. Now let's jump inside here. Let me show you some things in here that you'll find in both vehicles. Okay, first of all, they both have manual adjustable seats in here. We have captain chairs and you have 3 seats in the back. So the options are very similar on both sides. They both have climate unit in here with heated seats in the back and so on. In terms of the entertainment unit in the back, it's exactly the same for both vehicles. So nothing changes in this area. It's more so how this thing is designed. And of course, the audio system is a bit different in the back compared to the Yukon Denali, but everything in this area remains very much the same. If you want to add more seats in here, you can do so, make it a bigger vehicle than it is. And as I said, the climate unit in here, they both offer the same option. They both have a beautiful panoramic roof, so things don't change much on their sides. Even the comfort level, it's exactly the same. Now let's jump in the front where things get a little bit more interesting. Okay, so let's start it up first. And The first thing you're going to notice in here is, of course, the layout. Things change quite a lot in both vehicles. And at the same time, we have the curved screen for the Cadillac Escalade, the new one. It's quite amazing. It looks nice and sharp. The infotainment software is actually a little bit different on both vehicles. Why do I say that? Well, the actual software itself has changed from this one to that. Now, in the Yukon Denali, you're going to find the standard as other GM vehicles. In here, what they have done is that they've introduced a new software, has quite a lot of features, and it is differently designed compared to the Yukon Denali. At the same time, they have a lot of things in common. So, for example, they both have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay as well. They both have the option to lower vehicle from inside with the air suspension rise. They both have a standard climate unit, heated seats, cooling seats, and so on. So things don't change a lot. They even have the same exact rear view mirror, so you can turn that into a full LCD screen to see in the back. So things over there remain very much the same. The Cadillac in this area is, of course, a bit more luxurious. It is more refined. They both have wireless charging pads, so nothing changes in there. Massive armrest on both sides. Where things get a bit interesting for the Cadillac is that in here it offers a cooling option. So you can basically add your bottle of water or non-alcoholic beverage in case if you want to have one while you're driving somewhere, or non-alcoholic in case, and of course maybe a cola or something like that. Now, where the Cadillac has gone a bit further is the augmented reality. Basically what it does is that it uses the camera in the front and it displays that into the cluster. You have a bit more information in the Cadillac than you would in the Yukon Denali. So yes, they have made this more luxurious in terms of that, because now you have the actual full view of the front. But let's just be practical about the AR. How useful is this thing? Because at the end of the day, you can see from here, and they both have a 360 camera. So do you actually need that? I've used this a couple of times and I've driven with this car. It actually obstructs my view a little bit because I tend to look in here sometimes just to see what's in the front, and it's just interesting. But I don't find this the most useful. It's not like the feature that this one offers. So, for example, this has a conversation enhancement option. So what it does is it picks your voice from the front and it transmits that through the speakers in the back. You have speakers at the top, so that way you don't have to raise your voice when you're talking to passengers in the back. So that is a useful feature, but the augmented reality, not so much. It's more like a gimmick rather than a useful feature. Again, you have a 360 camera, front view, side view, rear view, this massive thing over here. It's perfect. So it's not the most useful, like unless you want to show off. It's a flex option. So when people come in, you show them off, I have this augmented reality, and then they're going to ask you, what is it useful for? And you might look like an idiot in some cases. Some cases you might find it useful, but generally not so much. And of course you can turn it off if it bothers you. But again, that is the huge difference in here, is that this vehicle offers that option. In terms of the cruise control, it's exactly the same in both vehicles. And then you're going to have the Super Cruise in the future offered in both models. Super Cruise is a more advanced adaptive cruise control, which technically drives the car itself. The next thing that I noticed with the Cadillac Escalade is the speakers on the headrest. That's something that you're missing in the Yukon Denali. Again, is that very useful? Not so much. Things remain very much the same here. The infotainment system is where things change, the cluster, the design of the interior. Yes, you feel in a more luxurious vehicle, but the difference, honestly, it's not that big. It's not that big in terms of features that what it offers. You might have some extra features in the Yukon Denali, but other than that, you're going to have exactly the same experience as you would in here. What I do like the Escalade a little bit more is, of course, how it drives. The argument that some people have against the Yukon Denali, it's like, well, if I can put another 20 grand on it and get all these features, is why bother with the Yukon Denali? That's true, but that comes down to how much money you have. Will $30,000 make a difference in your pocket? If it doesn't, then yeah, you definitely can go for this. In my opinion, I look at the value versus the fancy stuff. At the end of the day, if they offer almost 60 to 70% on both, why bother with the Escalade, right? Now, if you want to flex, then yeah, you're going for the Escalade because it It's better in sense of luxury. It offers all those gimmicks and all those fancy features that you're not going to find in the Yukon Denali. But it also, I want to say this, it drives better, and here's why. First of all, in the Yukon Denali, what I feel is mostly, and I've driven that multiple times, it's a very boaty ride. And this is where the Escalade does a better job. Mind you, they both have the same power delivery. I think this, somehow the air suspension system does a better job, and I bet you they're probably exactly the same in both vehicles. But somehow, in my opinion, this drives much more like a SUV rather than a massive vehicle the size of this. It feels like a small SUV, and it feels very comfortable inside. You can enjoy the drive. That's one difference. It just drives a little bit better. It is much more quiet inside as well, and at the same time, it feels nice inside. I get it. I see that, and I think it justifies the price increase. But for the money, I would take the Denali any day. And again, it all depends on your budget, but I'm telling you, value-wise, the Yukon Denali offers as much as the Escalade. Some will argue, but well, what's the point of GM making these two cars? Well, they're catering to two different markets. One market has the pockets, deep pockets, doesn't care about money. If it's $30,000 difference, they will pay it. Or the market that cares about the little gimmicks like the augmented reality, that sort of things. Or people that are obsessed with Escalades, like celebrities. They still want this. The Denali, in my opinion, it delivers exactly the same things at some point. The only difference in the luxury inside is not at the same level. Like the cluster in the Denali is standard, is not fancy like the Escalade. Everything in here is more luxurious. The refined interior, the wood trim around it, the beautiful buttons, the screen, and so on. But then things and features are very much similar. So at the end of the day, what's going to matter for your decision is your pocket, and if you're one of those people like myself that looks at the value rather than the actual vehicle as sort of like a flex idea. I'm going to buy a Mercedes because they show luxury. They show that you're rich. If you're one of those people, then yeah, you will go for the Escalade. Everybody knows an Escalade is a luxury vehicle. But again, my take is, why bother? The Escalade is a fantastic vehicle. There's no question. It offers so much for the money. But at the end of the day, if you had to look at the value side by side, you will have the same result as I do, that the Denali offers you almost exactly the same. I was shocked when I was looking at the price difference because I thought maybe it will be about $5,000 to $6,000 or $10,000. But it's actually over $20,000, and a fully loaded in Canada Escalade, you're looking at about $115,000. A fully loaded Yukon Denali, you're looking at about $95,000 or so. It will be the same in the States, just the conversion rate. So why go for the Escalade? The other thing that you might not pick the Yukon Denali, it's the looks. Do you like this versus the Yukon Denali? I've driven both multiple times. I've done tons of reviews on both vehicles. I still think the Escalade is a fantastic vehicle for the money, but I still think the Escalade, it is very luxurious inside. It looks very futuristic. I saw one on the highway and I was driving today and it looked like Darth Vader style. It was blacked out everywhere, similar to exactly the same as this one. And again, it's just for the money. I think the Yukon Denali, it's the better choice. And that's why I'm picking it. Not because it drives better, not because it offers more features or anything, but it offers almost 60 to 70% of the features you'll find in one, you're going to find the other ones. If you care about the rear entertainment unit, you will find it in both vehicles exactly the same. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Which one do you like the most out of the two? The Cadillac Escalade or the Yukon Denali? And why do you think one is better than the other one? With that in mind, special thanks goes to good friends at Applewood GM for allowing me to borrow both vehicles. If you're interested in either or, don't forget to check them out. And if you want to get a discount or a promotion, you can reach out to them and find out what do you get if you purchase a vehicle from them just because you're watching this video. The only thing you have to do is find the link in the description below. With that in mind, cheers and stay safe.